Welcome back to Grit Gym. Welcome back to Grit Gym. We come at you every weekday at 12:30. We come at you to talk about your exercise, mindset, nutrition, recovery. We're talking about health. We're talking about health because it is the #1 resource in your life. If we go back in time, to not that long ago, and we ask one of the most successful people in recent history what he would do with his time that he didn't get too much with, what he would do with his money that he had massive amounts of, or what he would do with his relationships that he didn't have all that great relationships, but he definitely didn't have very good health. And the guy that I'm talking about is Steve Jobs. He changed all of our worlds. Reach into your pocket. I bet you're going to pull out, or somewhere in your vicinity, you have some Apple product that has made a difference in all of our lives. We all kind of look up to Steve Jobs and admire him for certain things, but in the end, that guy did not have very good health. And I'm not talking about cancer necessarily, but I guarantee you that if we could go back, if I was some celestial being, that could go and talk to Steve Jobs 6 months before he died, and I said, hey, listen, man, you got 6 months left. I can give you abundant health for 6 months, but you got to give me every dollar that you have. Or I said, I can give you the most incredible relationships. He didn't have all that incredible relationships. Watch all the documentaries, read all the books. It's pretty subpar in the relationship category. I told him you have the most incredible relationships, but only for the next 6 months. Or I said that you get 30 more years, but you have to live with the health that you have right now. Which one of those scenarios do you suppose that Steve Jobs would have picked? I guarantee you he would have thrown down every $1 billion. I think he has he died with like $78 billion or $58 billion or something like that. Yeah, I guarantee you he would have dropped every dime that he possibly had to be healthy, knowing that he only had 6 months left. This means health is more important than your time. It's more important than your money, and it's definitely more important than your relationships, because you cannot appreciate, you cannot exchange, you cannot live, you can't experience, and you can't be there for the other person in the relationship the way that you want to without your health. You have to have your health in order, and there are things within the health game that if you don't have them all in order, you're gonna suffer. And not only that, the other people in your atmosphere end up suffering too. Your kids lose out on the experience of you because you're not able to run and do things the way that you could if you were in really great shape, or you were a little overweight, or whatever it is. There are experiences that you're missing out on because you don't have the health game on point, and you have to have all four. You can't just pick and choose which one you want. There's a lot of people who are doing very well in the exercise department, poor in the nutrition category, or they're doing really well in both, but they're doing poor in the mindset category, or they're not recovering. I know that for me personally, I was doing very well for the majority of the time that I've been really up on this exercise game and the nutrition game and the health game. I was missing two. I was missing two big ones. Nutrition, I was on point, man. I really had that stuff dialed in. I could fluctuate up and down. I could gain muscle, lose fat. I could do pretty much whatever I wanted because I had massive control, massive amounts of power over that scenario. Exercise, I could pretty much do whatever I want. I was a workaholic. I put myself there and I just ram it, and I hit it hard, and I could do that really well. However, I was like 220 and 4% body fat when I was in college. This is not healthy. Okay, I had a very unhealthy mindset. Very, I don't think you call it unstable, because I think I'm still a little unstable, because I want you to be a little unstable. You want to be a little unstable. You want to be the most dangerous person in your surroundings. The most dangerous person in your surroundings, because then you're the weirdest. You don't want to be normal. Okay? You don't want to be normal. But anyway, my personal experience, I didn't do well in the recovery game, and I didn't do well in the mindset game, because nobody really gives us a framework for this stuff. No one really says how to tackle the mindset game. No one ever asks you, hey, no one ever gives you permission and says, hey, it's okay to love you. Society says don't do that. Society actually hates on you for loving you, hates on you for being goofy. There's Joanne's on here right now. Joanne got a little bit like not hate, but someone was like, that would explain your behavior for that goofy Snapchat filter that you did. I thought it was awesome. Man, you want to be able to be free to be yourself and to express that and put that out there without people being like judging you. I don't know what that was. Maybe it's a new thing that I'm gonna do. But you want to be able to be safe enough to do that kind of stuff, and you don't get to do that if you're not dangerous. If you're the dangerous person, everybody else looks at you like you're dangerous because they don't feel safe. Well, you're very present and you're able to put yourself out there because you know you can be vulnerable without people attacking you. I know he was just kidding, but it could have been taken the other way. I shouldn't say I know. I figured he was just kidding, but it could have been taken the other way. But the point of that was that it's good to be the most dangerous person. The most dangerous person is sometimes the most goofiest, the most free, the most whatever it is, and people will be jealous for that. But anyway, what I was saying there was that I didn't do well with the recovery portion. I would just work out as hard as I possibly could, didn't sleep, just basically drank all the time, and never recovered from workouts. And then my nutrition was on point, but my mindset was completely off because nobody really tells you how to manage this stuff. No one's really giving you any kind of a roadmap here. So that's a lot of what this show is about, giving you some kind of the stuff that I've used on me that has helped me a lot, and hopefully it can help you a lot. Just to give you a framework, because there's some very, very simple stuff, and it's kind of hard to come up with a reason for complicating it. And that's usually my response. Can you find a good reason for complicating it? It's not that simple, Adam. Can you find a good reason to complicate it? Usually, there's no good reason to complicate it. So, what are we talking about today, other than health? Other than health. And if you guys, please, obscurity is Grit Gym's biggest issue. My personal goal, and I've written this down hundreds, thousands, definitely thousands of times. I've written it down every day, morning and night, for probably the last year and a half. And before that, I was writing it down every single day. Is to help billions of people in a positive way. I can't do that without your help. So please slap that share button. Help me affect billions of people in a positive way. I think that we have a good message. You guys can let me know if you think that we have a good message. Share this. Get on board with what we're doing, and get other people to come into this. But what are we going through today? It's Mindset Day. It's Monday, so we're gonna go into the tough love. When is it appropriate? How is it appropriate? How do you do it? Why would you want to do tough love? A lot of people right now, especially, we are not a society that is applauding tough love. Tough love is not really in the game plan. If you've ever seen the movie Necessary Roughness, I love that movie. I think it's great. Now, I do think that this gets kind of lost. I think that people think tough love is the where you're just beasting out on somebody and you're just screaming at them and you're pushing them and you're like, you know, like being all aggressive, the Yeller type coach, right? That's ridiculous. That's just a small-minded, ego-driven, like football coach type that just can't get a hold of himself. Being angry is not what I'm talking about when I talk about tough love. What I'm talking about is the expectation that we give people. Because people will, a lot of the time, like not everybody, kind of depends on how you deal with the expectations that you're given. Different people respond differently, but you give someone an expectation, they're either and if it's high, they're gonna live up to it. If it's low, they're gonna fall to it. So why would you do that? Why would you, and if you're going to give them an expectation and then lower it all the time to try to help them out, that doesn't do them any favors. What about making them answer the questions that you ask, or holding them accountable to the thing that they want to do? For instance, Rach took some heat when I asked her on the show here, she took some heat about, you guys don't see all the private messages that come through, but she took some heat on when I asked, how do you confront your friends on their nutritional stuff? And what I was talking about was people share things, okay? They share things. They're like, I want to lose 30 pounds, okay? If someone comes up to me and says that, and then I hear them saying, I'm going out and drinking every night, I'm eating hot dogs and burritos every meal, pancakes for breakfast, I'm going to confront them because they asked me for help. They asked you for help too. They brought you into their scenario and said, this is what I want to do, please help me do it. And if you don't confront them, you didn't do them any favors. You gotta confront the friend on that. It's very important. If you don't do that, what happens? If you keep lowering the target, lowering the expectation, they're just gonna keep falling to that. They're never gonna take that thing serious. So what I'm really talking about is being nice. The nice thing to do. Do you know the definition of the word nice? Go look it up. Can someone actually put in the comment section the definition of the word nice? That'd be really cool, whether it's now or whether it's later. But the origin, if you look up the origin of the word, is what I was actually going for. When you look at the origin of the word nice, I think it was a French word, and it basically meant the village idiot. It meant you were the dummy. The nice guy was the nice girl, the nice person was the village idiot. It wasn't looked at as a good thing. It was like saying you were simple. In small town wording, that boy's simple. Anyway, being nice is a little silly. Doing good for the world and doing like good things in the world, I think is very important. But I wouldn't call those nice. I'd call those doing a good thing. So this is the statement that I would like to pose to everybody today. And this is what I got into a conversation with someone the other day. The thing is, if you believe that a person's socioeconomic or any portion of their life determines the outcome of any other portion of their life, health, wealth, relationships, time, any portion of their life, then I don't think that you believe in people. See, I believe in people. I believe in putting the obstacles are a great thing. The obstacles and expectations are blessings. That confrontations are a wonderful thing. That criticism is fantastic. That challenges are what you need in your life. Okay, because I believe in people, and I really do on a deep level. Not like I've never been disappointed, because I have. I mean, we've had 2 thieves at Grit Gym. One of the worst employees that we ever had was someone that she thought that she should be applauded for, and she didn't even get close to meeting base level expectations. I left for a weekend once to go to a continuing ed. I came back 0 over things were done. The place was a wreck, and she's like, "We killed it. We did so great." And I was like, "You didn't even make base level expectations." She almost broke down crying, and I didn't even say it mean. I said it kind of like I just did right there. I was like, "You got to do more. Like, you guys didn't make base level expectations. Like, what do you expect?" What I'm saying is, to hold people accountable, to hold them to a high expectation, and to confront them, or for them to have an obstacle in their life, is not a time to feel sorry for them. It's a time to celebrate. A person has ADD, is dyslexia, is going through a breakup. You know, the going through a breakup thing, the Unanswered Prayers by Garth Brooks, that's what that song is about. He prayed for a girl, didn't get the girl, and now he's thanking God for unanswered prayers. Right? It was a good thing. It was a blessing in disguise. ADD and dyslexia, my parents were terrified for me. They thought I was going to be doing like not going to be able to pass high school. They thought I'd never go to college and never be anything. I think they probably were scared to death that I was going to live at home for the rest of my life. Anyway, I did fine. I think I'm doing all right anyway. I have no idea. But that obstacle put in front of me made it so I had to overcome something. It was a huge blessing. And most people that you talk to in books that you read on this subject, most people that get interviewed that have dyslexia, that have attention deficit, say similar things. They're so thankful that they had that because it led to them doing great things, because it gave them something to overcome. What about being fat or unathletic? Fat. I said it. It's okay. Everybody will be fine. I know it's not politically correct. What if you're overweight? That better. If you're overweight or you're not very athletic, that gives you something to overcome. When I first started doing sports, I was not very good. I actually sucked pretty bad. And my older 2 siblings were looked at as like these like athletic, like very good athletes. And people looked at me like, "Oh, he's never going to, not going to happen." Anyway, I ended up being the most athletic one, which is kind of crazy considering where I started. Okay, and I got started kind of late too. I didn't really start playing sports until later on. I was way too busy just trying to go off by myself and do things. But what if you have no muscle? What if you have an addiction? What if you have depression? What if you're in poverty? I think these are blessings. They're blessings. I mean, you look at Kevin Hart. Do you think that he would appreciate and feel as fulfilled and as accomplished for what he's been able to do if he grew up like Lady Gaga and Anderson Cooper? Okay, Lady Gaga and Anderson Cooper, if you go look at their histories, they come from wealthy families, like extremely wealthy families. Kevin Hart came from nothing. Okay, Kevin Hart also took a huge chance with his first tour, with his tour that went huge, and like that was like his 12th year trying to do it. And he didn't, what was it? He didn't use an agent, so he got to control everything, but it also meant that if it didn't work out, it came back on him. And he ended up being I think the top grossing comedian of all time in 2015 or 2016. I don't remember which one it was. Anyway, do you think that he would have felt that same thing had he not come from nothing? If he would have been born into like an Anderson Cooper type family or a Lady Gaga and then made it versus him coming from nothing and then made it. I think there's a huge, huge benefit to having a challenge in front of you. Like when people talk about depression, man, I don't feel sorry for people that are depressed. I know that at first that sounds really harsh, and that's like, oh my God, that's so mean. That's not nice at all. No, it's not nice. I am excited for them. Because if you have the blessing of hitting rock bottom, you get the blessing of hitting rock bottom, and you can look at it that way. See, the only way to go is up. You hit rock bottom, there's only one more way that you can go. You just fell all the way down a mountain. You hit every rock on the way down, and maybe you stopped once in a while and met somebody, and they just went ahead and kicked you down a couple more flights of stairs, and then they kicked you down a couple more few more rocks on the mountain. You hit it, and then finally you hit bottom. Man, you only get one way. Now you got to go up. Now the question is, are you going to lay down there? Are you just going to stay in the bottom? Are you going to wallow in your bullshit? Or are you going to start climbing? See, it's an obstacle. It's a good thing. It's wonderful. It's powerful. If you're stuck in depression and you get all the way down to rock bottom, you got some courage. Now you got to use that courage to get yourself back up. What if you're addicted? Same thing. If you are experiencing addiction, like a drug or alcohol or sex or whatever your addiction happens to be, the interesting thing about addiction is that the medium is not the source. A lot of people want to make it the source. They're like, sugar is addictive, this and this and this and this is addictive. If that is the case, then that would not explain why millions of kids across the country right now are on highly addictive substances called Ritalin, Concerta, Dexedrine, Adderall, and other amphetamine type drugs. Little kids that we shove this pill down their throat are not getting addicted to this stuff. They hate it. They don't like it. They wish they could stop taking it. And we're giving it to them twice a day, every day, so that the parents and the teachers can put up with the kid, right? And we say, oh, it's so that they can learn, because they learn different. And then when they take this pill, because their minds are different, the pill doesn't get them high. I guarantee you it gets them high. Your brain isn't that much different than mine. I guarantee you every single day that I took that pill, I got high. I did. I remember it. I remember it extremely well. When I take that pill today, which I don't like doing, and I was like, maybe a few years ago I decided maybe I'll go back on it. I'll see what it does. I'll see if it helps me out at all. Maybe I've wrapped my head around some new idea. I took it. I was a nut. I was crazy. Didn't like it at all. I turned right back into that same, like my hands are shaking and they're sweaty and they're cold and it is no good. Little kids across the country, millions and millions of little kids across the country are not getting addicted to these highly addictive drugs, but yet we call them addictive drugs. And then we say that adults get addicted, but little kids get addicted. That doesn't make any sense. Little kids don't get addicted, but adults do get addicted. I don't think it has anything to do, and this isn't a proven thing, but I don't think it has anything to do with the substance involved. I think it has to do with what they're reaching for to try to cover up what is actually going on. You have a fear, so let's take a stimulus. We have a fear that we're not enough to overcome the obstacle. We're not enough to climb back up the hill after being depressed. So we reach for the pill. We swallow the pill. We feel good for 4 hours. Pill wears off. We're back to feeling scared to go forward. So we reach for another pill, do it all over again, do it all over again, do it all over again. Eventually, we just reach for the pill without feeling the fear. I don't think that the pill is the medium. I don't think the booze is the medium, the sex and the porn or the whatever it is that people use to wrap themselves up in an addiction. I don't think that that's what they're addicted to. I think that there's something else going on back behind the scenes that is, and the drugs and the booze and the sex and the porn and the sugar and all these other things that people claim addiction to are using to cover that up. So what am I trying to say is that, like, what I'm really trying to say is that I think that everybody has power over their circumstance. Everybody has massive, massive power over their circumstance, but if we tell them that they don't, if we say you're addicted and it's impossible to break it, if we say you're addicted or you're depressed and so it's okay if you just lay in bed at home all day long because you're depressed. If we say that you're stupid and you're never going to amount to anything, so let's just give you the easiest jobs possible. If you're unathletic, so it's like, oh, well, you better join the band and never try to be an athlete. Or you're fat, you're overweight, you have too much fat on your body. That's what I'm trying to say. And you're like, oh, well, I'm just always going to be this way. And you're living up to the expectation that has been placed upon you. It gives you no power. It gives you no power over your circumstance, and you have massive, massive power over your circumstance, and it doesn't come down to motivation. That's bullshit. It comes down to, what's written on the shirt? Are you going to be all in today? Or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough today? Are you going to be all in with you? Are you going to love you today? All in, that's all in. Or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough? We all have this. No one is exempt from the fear of not being enough. Everybody has this fear of not being enough. It comes in the form of, or it shows up in the symptom of anger, anxiety, embarrassment, worry, jealousy, envy, the victim mindset, which is what we're talking about here. Someone that's like, oh, I'm in poverty, so I can't eat good foods. Or I'm a poor college student, so I can't afford vegetables. That's why I'm fat. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like if you go to McDonald's and you spend $5, or you're going to go to McDonald's, you're going to spend $5. Well, you could have gone in with $5 and you could have got a thing of broccoli, like a small chicken breast, and let's say you wanted some French fries, so you bought one potato. Bam! That was like $5 right there. And you could have done that, but instead you chose to go the easy route. Money is money is an excuse. The lack of money is an excuse. All of these are just excuses. They're all bullshit. And what it is, it's negation of the blessing that you have in front of you. The obstacle was a blessing. The challenge was a blessing. It was a very good thing. You want that in your life. Just looking at the time. What else do I have down here? So that's my thing. That's the statement that I'm posing to the world today, or the Facebook group, or to whoever ends up watching this now or later. If you believe that a person's socioeconomic status or any other portion of their life determines the outcome of any portion, health, wealth, relationships, time, any portion of their life, then you don't believe in people. And me personally, I believe in people. I believe that if you put people in extraordinary situations, that they will rise. And a lot of times they'll fall. They'll fail, but that's okay. It's that was a good thing. Failure was not a bad thing in that scenario. That failure was actually still a very, very good thing in this scenario because they learned something from it. The thing is, if you go all in, I think some people are super terrified that if they do go all in and they fail, then they lose their dream. If they go all in and they fail, then they've proven themselves a loser. If they go all in and they fail, then they proved that they weren't enough. But that's not the case. If you went all in, you went all in. Do you see? If you went all in that moment, then the other way is, oh, I'm going to half-ass it. I'm going to succumb to the fear of not being enough. Then you do prove to yourself that you weren't enough. The only way to prove to yourself that you are enough is to go all in. It's like this catch-22 game that people play. And as leaders or as friends or as the people that care for the people that we're talking about here, people will rise to the expectation that they're given, or they'll fall to the expectation that they're given. Even if they're rebels, even if they're, whether they're questioners, upholders, obligers, or rebels, even if they're in any four of those, they will fall to if you let them have a low expectation, they're only going to reach to that. I don't know if this is actually accurate or not. I don't know if this is a real thing, but supposedly, if you take a flea, the ratio between how high a human can jump to how high, or the size of a human next to a flea, if we could jump as high as fleas in relation to our body, we'd be able to jump to the top of the Empire State Building. So, and I'm not sure if this is accurate also, if you put fleas in a jar, just on like a regular bell jar, they'll just hop right out. There's no big deal. But if you put a lid on that, they'll come up and they'll bounce against the lid, hit the lid, hit the lid, hit the lid, and eventually they'll just kind of come up and come right back down. They will just barely hit the lid. If you take that lid off, they won't jump out of the jar. They'll just stay there on that false ceiling. their expectation of how high they could have jumped just got lowered, and they'll stay there. Don't do that to yourself. You want to leverage as much pressure against you as you possibly can. Sometimes that takes employing others into your scenario. Okay? This is one of the things that I asked Rachel to do. For me, I don't know if she quite gets how much I want her to do this, but it's like, hey, get your ass moving. Like if I feel like sluggish or I don't want to do something, I want her to do that for me. I want other people to do that for me. If I'm not living up to the code or to the action that I want to, I want to help billions of people in a positive way. The amount of action behind that is insane. The amount of fear that I have to push through, the amount of courage that I have to summon to be able to do that is going to be a ton. And believe me, I'm gonna fail to it over and over and over again. And I just have to keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. It's hard to remember that sometimes. That's where other people come into the situation. I know this is a big challenge. I want to take it head on. But the big thing, obstacles are blessings. Confrontations are blessings. High expectations are blessings. Being an asshole is a great thing to have around you. You want that person that holds you to a high level of excellence, because they're going to spur you on. They're going to push you on, whether they're leading by example or they're keeping you accountable to what you set out to do. But anyway, the thing is, I'm agreeing with my notes. You get the challenge, the obstacle, the confrontation, all that stuff, the expectation. You get something to work for. You get something to overcome, to achieve. It's inspiring. You get to inspire other people by way of the actions that you do take. And the thing is that that you're better off for it. But with any of these things, whether you have depression, whether you have an addiction, whether you have any sort of obstacle, attention to a learning disability, you have too much fat on your body, you're unathletic, whatever it is, you have to succeed. You have to find a way to pull up all the stops, push forward, and you have to succeed at this thing. This is the biggest thing that I can tell you. You have to. The world is waiting on you. The world wants you. The world desires for you to succeed, and you have to go out there and you have to make that happen. Because the world wants to be entertained. It wants to be inspired. It wants to have something to live for. That's what you're doing. Whatever it is that you want to do with your life, you have to go out there and you have to show the world that you can. But anyway, if you believe in people, then hold them to a high level of excellence, because your socioeconomic status, the state of your health right now, the state of your relationships right now, the state of how you manage your time, it is not your fate to live within that. You can always improve from wherever you are. You have massive power over your circumstance. But anyway, this 30-minute is fast, guys. Thank you for being here. I like when I see that you guys are on this entire time, it means a lot to me. It's pretty cool to do these and have your support. But anyway, I appreciate it a ton. Please slap the share button and send this out to everybody that you know. Hopefully this can be the video that breaks free and goes viral or something, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it's just going to happen one at a time, at a time, at a time, at a time. But thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're interviewing a big timer. I'm pretty sure it's this week. Maybe it's Thursday. I don't remember. But one video, there's going to be an interview coming up that is the biggest person yet. I'm super excited. We've been online friends for a long time, never actually spoken in person, so this is going to be so cool. And he's a huge nerd. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow.